Welcome back, and now it is time for our first of 5 finals here for the first day of competition, bringing to an eventual conclusion the first half of the second round of the 2020 BNL Karting Series season. Micromax back out on the circuit, 13 minutes plus an additional lap set on the timer. And here is your grid. So Mies Huben, who took the victory by 3.924 seconds in the first race, will start once again from pole position. Alongside him will be the number 19 of Max Swiderski, who will look to strike back this afternoon. I can guarantee you that much. He lines up on the front row. Mats van Rooyen, who had a great battle with Jake Menton in the number 31. Those two drivers complete the top 4. Menton was close on a third place finish in the first race today. However, a spin on the Europalan straight tore that asunder, unfortunately. So Menton will look to try and get a top 3 finish before the day is out. Rounding out the 6-strong grid will be the number 30 from the Netherlands of Boris Maximov, who at one point managed to get past Jake Menton before the dying stages of the race. And then Jenthe Moonen managed to get through the first race pretty much unscathed and will start as the sole Belgian on the grid in 6th place. This time around, we will go on to our formation lap. So the rain has been consistently battering the circuit from all 4 corners of the 1,360 metre circuit, 12 turns in all over the course of the 20-minute break between the last of the pre-finals with DD2 and DD2 Masters. They will close out the show here on day 1 of the weekend, and their race will start at 15:38 local time. And via our social media channels, at BNL Karting Series on Facebook, at Karting BNL on Twitter, and at BMC_BNL, we will update you with the relevant results once they have been officially ratified and confirmed post sporting and technical checks. I have seen a few front fairing penalties, 8 in the junior pre-final, it looks like, or maybe make that, that's 8 in the junior pre-final, make that 12 in the senior pre-final, and 4 in total between DD2 and DD2 Masters. So Mies Huben and Max Swiderski once again will control the pace. Swiderski took the initial lead of the race before he had a moment, and that caused the number 19 to drop back down to second position. They now make their way through into turn number 11, the left-hander before the red line, just before the true pit lane entrance. So Huben, Swiderski, Van Rooyen, Menton, Maximov and Moonen once again go into battle for their second and final time today before they get a good night's respite and some welcome nourishment ahead of tomorrow's festivities. Through the final corner we come for the Micromax final on day number 1. Into the tram lines they go. Revs start to build, and the lights do go out. Mies Huben gets a cracker of a start and looks quickly over the left shoulder to see Mats van Rooyen up behind him, but then Max Swiderski retakes second position. Boris Maximov gets past Jake Menton in the early phase of the start, as Max Swiderski powers round the outside of Mats van Rooyen, and the rear right wheel touches the outside curbs on the exit of turn number 4, and Swiderski could have nearly have gotten caught out by that one as they filter their way down the Europalan straight here at Karting Genk for the first time on the run down to turn number 7. So at the minute, as Swiderski has a touch with Huben. Swiderski closed up really deep into the braking zone on turn 7, and there was a little touch there. Swiderski spins backwards and points in the wrong direction coming out of turn number 8. So Max Swiderski on the back foot once again, but this time it was on the very, very first lap. So Swiderski is right at the back end of the field as... now there's a touch from behind. Boris Maximov signalling to Jake Menton saying, "What on earth were you doing?" Menton had a little bit of a touch. Maximov out, and Maximov now to the outside of turn 12. Menton up the inside, and Swiderski powers past the pair of them. Nigh on, and the good thing is that at the moment, Jenthe Moonen is up into P3 as Swiderski gets past Maximov going into turn 2 on lap 2. And at the minute, Mies Huben has an advantage. It's not by much though. The number 8 from the Netherlands is leading countryman Mats van Rooyen, as now Jake Menton seizes an opportunity to possibly get past the number 30 of Boris Maximov as Swiderski up the inside of Jenthe Moonen up into turn 6. Now the run down to turn 7 begins. And at the minute, Mies Huben is the fastest driver. We have only completed one lap, let's not forget here. But Mats van Rooyen looks to be thriving in these wet weather conditions, as the number 3 is keeping the GKS Lemons Power driver in the lead as Menton up the inside of Maximov. As Menton drifts wide coming out of turn 9, Maximov back up the inside. Menton gets a good run of momentum down into turn 10, up the inside of the number 30, but then Maximov gets the switch back, powers around the outside of towards turn 11 and gets back past Jake Menton. Had a bit of a moment. The back end tried to step out, going through the exit of turn 11 as Menton goes steamrolling up the inside of Maximov through into turn 12, loses out by running wide through the momentum carry, and that allows Maximov to get back past. So the driver that is the fastest one out on the circuit is the third place driver at the moment, Max Swiderski, with a 1 minute 22.140 on lap 2 of the race. Maximov now being hustled once again by Jake Menton. Menton looked towards the inside of turn 4, saw nothing was going to happen there, and there has been a 5-second time penalty for pushing, and that means that Jake Menton will not factor into this race unless there are miracles that happen up front, because that's now 5 seconds added to the number 31's lap time there, and that was as a result of the touch between him and also Boris Maximov going through turn 10 on the very first lap. So Jenthe Moonen, the sole Belgian in the field, still running in 4th place. Mies Huben still continues to lead as Jake Menton again goes up the inside of Boris Maximov, and it's a repeat of what we saw in the last lap as Maximov powers around the outside of Menton through turn number 11. Menton does not take so much outside curb this time, so keeps the foot planted to the floor. Huben leads after 3 laps, and the gap now extends to 0.726 seconds ahead of Mats van Rooyen. Swiderski, in the meantime, is the first driver to dip under the 1 minute 22 second barrier with a 1:21.843, and now is 3.787 seconds behind Van Rooyen, and in turn 4.5 seconds behind Mies Huben. And Mies Huben did set a personal best of a 1 minute 22.324. Out in front is the number 8 from the Netherlands, and it is a Dutch 1-2-3 with Huben leading Van Rooyen and Swiderski in 3rd. Moonen in 4th, Maximov and Menton round out the 6th strong, with Menton being handed the first in-race penalty by race control for a 5-second time pushing penalty. Seven minutes and 48 seconds to go on the clock, plus an additional lap. Mies Huben tries to put the power down out of turn 11, as does Mats van Rooyen. The rain again still continuing to hit the circuit. So Van Rooyen trying to close on Huben for the lead. The gap now slightly extends to 0.8 of a second, as Mies Huben again sets a personal best lap of the race, a 1 minute 22.005. Now Boris Maximov has dropped behind Jake Menton and did a 1 minute 24.802 second lap time. Jake Menton has just put in a personal best of a 1:23.530 and is a second ahead. So as the 2 leaders come through turn 7, the rest of the field are now making their way on the back straight. And once again, the rain really, really lashing down. It has not stopped. And it's getting worse. It is intensifying. The drivers now really have to keep themselves calm, composed, and not make any undue or unforced errors. If they're in the heat of battle, I can completely understand it, because every driver goes out there to win. So I'm going to want to see how much this has affected the lap times. The two leaders were running in the low 122s. Hooben crosses the line, 121.883. So because of the fact that Mies Hooben has got that little bit of a clear air advantage, that has helped. But Max Swiderski again puts in the fastest lap of the race, a 121.525 second lap time on the completion of lap 5 itself. And that was 0.357 ahead of Mies Hooben, who has also dipped under the 1 minute 22 second barrier with a 121.883. Leaders now coming through turn 7. Swiderski has a bit of time on his side. Now, considering the fact that the mistake from Swiderski happened earlier in the race, one of the good things about that happening at that early stage, especially in these inclemental conditions, you can find that sometimes it's never over until you get across the line and get the checkered flag. And we know that for a fact. I've seen multiple different races where one driver has spun out in the early stages and has come fighting back. One example of that today, Sean Butcher in Senior Rotax earlier on this weekend. I managed to come back from what was the bottom part of the top 20 all the way up to P4, having started on second on the grid. So the gap between Mies Hooben and Mats van Rooyen now extends to 1.257 seconds. But Max Swiderski has not given up. The youngster with some, who's got Polish heritage as well, now has closed up to within 2.1 seconds off of Mats van Rooyen. Menton now is up into 4th place, as Boris Maximov is now down in 6th behind Jent de Moonen. And it's not been an easy race for the number 30 from the Netherlands. But Jake Menton, who has a 5-second time penalty for pushing, at the moment has 4 seconds advantage over Boris Maximov. So Jake Menton really effectively needs to find another, I would say, 2.3 seconds to make sure that he does not end up in last as we get into the last 3.5 minutes of this first final for the Micromax drivers. Gap now between Hooben and also Van Rooyen, now up to 1.9 seconds as we go into the last 3 minutes and 15 seconds of this race, plus one additional lap to conclude the Micromax action here at Karting Genk, the home of champions. Swiderski now has closed that gap to Van Rooyen, and he's put in an absolute flyer. Van Rooyen did a 1:22.464 last time around. Swiderski a 1 minute 21.435. And that is over a second quicker. Make that 1.0, I think 27 by my mathematics. That's what you get for trying to calculate on the fly. You have to think of something. And now I've just seen coming through turn 8, Swiderski is quite quickly closing on Van Rooyen in the latter stages. As there is Jake Menton, who looks to have had a little bit of a drama towards the dying stage of this race once again, as we saw in the first race a bit earlier on. So 2 minutes and 17 seconds on the clock. The battle now between Swiderski and Van Rooyen in third and second respectively. So the gap between the top two, now 2.3 seconds, but Swiderski has got the gap down to just over 0.3, and now Van Rooyen senses it. He's seen Swiderski close by a consummate rate of knots. That was 0.348 seconds behind And again, Swiderski was just absolutely on it. A 1 minute 21.636 on that last lap from the number 19 from the Netherlands. And now they're going to go down the back straightaway. This is now going to be the telling point as we go into the last 90 seconds, plus an additional lap, that Swiderski will get close enough on this lap. But the next lap, I probably might say, with the way that Swiderski is aggressively manhandling that number 19 chassis at the moment, that has really, really helped. And Swiderski now closes, coming out of turn number 9, down the short blast towards turn 10. Swiderski gets a lot of lock-on understeer through turn 10, but through into turn 11, the pair nearly touch. But Swiderski keeps waiting for his opportunity as through the splash puddle on the left-hand side in the approach through to turn 12 goes Mats van Rooyen. Through the final corner they come. Swiderski up the inside. That's perfectly timed across the line. Swiderski, look at that shot there. Great pickup by our camera crew here from Camp Company GmbH. It's 24 thousandths between the pair. Swiderski runs wide into turn 2. Van Rooyen back up the inside. Swiderski again runs wide. But look at the momentum carry he's got. Up the inside. Cleanly done by Max Swiderski on Mats van Rooyen, as it looks like Jake Menton is now out of the running, and that's a real shame. Oh, look at how close Swiderski was to the outskirts on the AstroTurf, and that's not exactly 100% AstroTurfed. You can see there are tufts of grass and also a little bit of concrete blocks underneath, concrete formation underneath. So Swiderski very, very close to losing the back end of that one, if I very much might need to say there. But now Swiderski really, really trying to keep Mats van Rooyen at bay. Van Rooyen got the upper hand going through turn 10, but Swiderski came out of the corner and literally nailed the throttle. The kart picked up traction and he went flying forwards and kept ahead. So the timer has expired for Micromax in their second race of the day. And Mies Huben in the number 8, representing the Netherlands, gets the last lap board. So once again, Mies Huben has been the driver to beat this weekend so far. Max Swiderski not having the opportunity that he did get, let's not forget, back at karting Genk 2 months ago for the opening round of the season. 2.291 seconds was the differential between first and second over the line for the penultimate, for the final lap of this race. Down the back straightaway they come for the final time. Do the top three is Jens Moonen in 4th and Boris Maximov in 5th, now making their way through turns 3, 4 and 5. The checkered flag now being prepared to wave for the final time for Micromax on day 1 of the penultimate round of the season. And Huben calmly makes his way through as Van Rooyen and Swiderski nearly touch on the exit of turn number 2. Turn number 9 for second place, but Mies Huben has literally kept out of trouble and has led from lights out. And this time, one of GKS Lemon's Power very own will cross the line, and the intermediate classification, provisionally speaking, will see it is a double victory on Saturday for Mies Huben, punching the air with both hands off the wheel. The number 8 has done a fantastic job and wins the race from Max Swiderski by 1.762 seconds. Mats van Rooyen takes 3rd place in the number 3, a further 1.126 seconds behind Max Swiderski. And Jens Moonen on a second race here takes 4th, a further 21 seconds behind Van Rooyen, with Boris Maximov rounding out the 5 that finished. And unfortunately for Jake Menton, it was a retirement on lap number 7.